Hi, everybody, and welcome to Story Hour. I'm your host, Daniel Marcus. My fabulous co-host is Laura Blackwell, and it is Wednesday evening in California, and we are back again, bringing you what we really believe is among the best in spoken word speculative fiction that you can get anywhere. We feature work from all across the entire range of speculative fiction today: horror, fantasy, hard SF, space opera, your favorite species of punk, slipstream, dark, weird, weird, dark, dark, weird, and really more. We also welcome new writers who just barely have the ink dry on their first few sales, and award-winning seasoned professionals, and everybody in between. Uh, so, hi, welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time here. I started Story Hour 5.5 years ago, just about. This is in the early days of the pandemic, our very own soft apocalypse, and things were very weird, not at all like now. And I kind of wanted to create a place where my writer friends and I could get together and share our work and just share a little community, kind of shelter in place against the madness. Um, and very shortly after I kicked it off, I asked my friend and colleague Laura Blackwell to join me in co-hosting, and we've been at it together ever since. Now, 5.5 years later, things are, of course, really fucking weird out there still and trending weirder. But we are still here and we're not going anywhere. And we believe that we need stories more than ever right now. Story Hour relies on a very ancient tradition that is people sitting around the fire telling lies. And every week we continue this practice. We have two writers with 30 minutes each narrating their own work. So before we go any further, I want to thank the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers of America for their very generous grant, which helps us to keep the lights on and to keep these virtual rooms open even. Thank you, SIFWA. And with that, we welcome both of our authors this evening, Jenna Hanchey and James R. Gapinski. And we're going to start the program tonight with James. James R. Gapinski is the author of the short story collection, The Museum of Future Mistakes, which is really a wonderful title, winner of the BOA Short Fiction Prize. They're also the author of three chapbooks in the novella Edge of the Known Bus Line, which was named to Kirkus Review's Best Books of 2018. Their short fiction has appeared in Heavy Feather Review, Variant Lit, Smoke Long Quarterly, and elsewhere. They run Conium Press in Portland, Oregon, and teach fiction for Southern New Hampshire University's online MFA program. James, welcome. Take it away.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks so much, Dan and Laura, for having me. Pleasure to be here. I'm going to be reading from my new book, The Museum of Future Mistakes. And I'm just going to read the very first story, which is also the title story. So you're going to hear a story from the book, also called The Museum of Future Mistakes. I have a gold membership for the Museum of Future Mistakes. If you have a local zip code, membership is 20% off. The museum is huge, filled with everybody's mistakes. Line art of broken condoms, still life of bad takeout, a retrospective of poorly planned camping trips. I usually breeze through these displays until I find my own rotating exhibit, nestled in an alcove with good lighting. My exhibit has helped me avoid so many mistakes. A marble bust of me puking outside the karaoke bar helped me pace myself last Saturday. Before that, there was a painting of a one-star review on Amazon. I removed that cardigan from my cart pronto. Abstract paintings can initially be frustrating, but they're also intriguing because it's a game to kind of figure out what mistake I'll make. In those cases, the placard with a description and info about the artist helps. I love the glimpses of the Museum for Future Mistakes provides. It helps me live my best life without having to fuck around with motivational Instagrammers. Today, I'm less excited about what I see. A statue of my girlfriend, Devon. The statue is vaguely Grecian, with thick muscles and stout haunches, exposed breasts, a fig leaf covering her crotch. Her fingers are stretched skyward as if to say, "Follow me into oblivion." Despite the otherwise regal appearance, she's wearing tennis shoes, and her favorite pair of plaid socks are carved into her ankles. I look at the informational card next to the statue. It was sculpted by Anonymous and donated by Anonymous. The title is simply Devon, and the description reads, "A depiction of your girlfriend, a colossal mistake." The museum curator isn't prone to hyperbole. I've never seen the word colossal attached to any other mistake here. Most descriptions talk about the event or object, and they end by simply stating, "This is a mistake." I reread the one-sentence note again, looking for a clue that's not there. I need to know why Devon and I fall apart. With the other mistakes, I've been able to make course corrections. How can I do that here? The only option seems to be dumping Devon before our relationship collapses. "Excuse me," I call to the nearest security guard. "Yes, may I help you?" he says in a kind tone. His bald head glistens in my alcove's good lighting. "Where did this come from?" I ask. The guard leans forward, his hands folded neatly behind his back. He peers at the small sentence for a while before announcing, "It's an anonymous gift to the museum by an anonymous sculpture. It seems that dating Devon is a colossal mistake." "I know that. I mean," I start to say, but I'm not sure what I mean. I don't expect this guard to have any additional answers. "Can I talk to the curator?" "She's out today. She's scouting new talent," the guard tells me. "Can I see her when she's back?" "Do you have business to discuss? Are you an art dealer?" he asks. "I'm a gold member," I say. The guard smiles as if he thinks that's a joke. Then his face hardens. "Anybody can be a gold member. It costs $20, 16 if you're local. The curator is a busy woman." "Okay, thanks," I say, but I'm not sure why I'm thanking him. The guard walks back to his corner, his bald head muted again as he waits for more upset people to accost him about their mistakes. I consider the statue a while longer. It has impressive detail. The fingers alone must have taken hours, splayed wide with a finely chiseled outline along the nails. This project must have been commissioned. Somebody really wanted to make this mistake documented. I go through our 11-month history in my head. We met at the wine and cheese mixer. We exchanged numbers and we got coffee together. We chatted for hours and found we had similar tastes in movies, books, and music. We got dinner and we talked about our family drama. We fooled around at her place. We went to concerts. We met friend groups and everybody got along. We tried some new stuff in bed and we both liked it. We went on hikes. We had picnics. We saw movies based on aforementioned similar tastes. We talked about career goals. We moved in together. This most recent develop seems the most potentially toxic. We've only lived together for a month. I wonder if that is the mistake. But then, why didn't the artist make a diorama of our new apartment? Also, the museum shows future mistakes, not past ones. No, this statue implies the problem is Devon, not the circumstances. My phone vibrates. A text from Devon reads, "Lunch?" It's my day off, but she's at work. She must know I'm downtown and close enough to meet. Is she one of those creepy, controlling people who tracks their partner's phone? The moment of speculation lingers. I glance around to see if I'm being followed. Some batshit crazy girlfriends will even hire private investigators. I saw a TV show about it once. "Where at?" I text back. "Somewhere sit down. Maybe that new Italian place," she replies. Normally, we hit up the food trucks. She must have bad news. A sit-down restaurant seems more appropriate. Is she dying? No, that can't be it. That would be tragic, but not a mistake. Am I dying? No, she couldn't know that before me. Unless she poisoned me. But that's absurd. It's just a statue. I walk to the Indian restaurant and I repeat to myself, "It's just a statue. It's just a statue. It's just a statue." "Huh?" Devon says. She's already seated, munching on papadum. "Nothing. Never mind." "Statue? So you did go to the museum?" she asks, but she must already know the answer. "Yes," I say. "So what did you learn? Should we cancel our movie tonight?" "Why? What's wrong?" I ask, blood pulsing through my temples, anticipating an epic breakup speech on the verge of Devon's tongue. I try to calm myself. This is for the best. The Museum of Future Mistakes knows that we're doomed. Better to end it now rather than drag this out. Calm down, she says, raising her hands in protest. Her splayed fingers remind me of the statue. Nothing's wrong. I just thought maybe the museum told you the movie sucks. I've been reading some Rotten Tomatoes reviews. We might want to pick a different one. Oh, okay, I say, and my stress level dips. So what was the statue? You seem on edge. Big mistake this time? Colossal, I say, and I regret saying it because she'll want to know more. Devon raises her eyebrows and leans forward in anticipation. But she doesn't say anything. We sit in silence for a while. I grab a Papadoom and take a bite. I avoid eye contact. And she finally leans back. All right, you don't have to tell me. Just avoid whatever it is. You don't want a colossal mistake on your hands. She laughs and opens her menu. Palak paneer sounds good. You? I look at my menu and pretend to read it. I know this can't continue. I either need to break up with Devon or I need to get more answers about the statue. The uncertainty of this mistake prevents me from doing anything but panicking as Devon tells me about the latest drama with Margaret, her human resources friend. Devon frowns and asks, "Are you listening?" I feel like each lapse in my attention is another limping step towards our relationship's inevitable doom. I find the curator's name, Ray Seislak, on the Museum of Future Mistakes website. I find her face on LinkedIn. I find her current location when she tweets a picture of her extra-large mocha. It's a local coffee shop frequented by artsy hipsters, which makes sense. The caption reads, "Can't meet a client without my afternoon pickup. Hashtag caffeine, hashtag mocha, hashtag coffee slut." I get on the next bus. The cafe is close. 2 stops away. I think about what I'll say to her. I can't ask for information about this anonymous donor and artist right away. That will never work. I have 2 options. Option 1, appeal to her sense of empathy and tell her how this is poised to wreck my relationship. Option 2, pretend to be an art critic or a buyer who has taken a special interest in the statue. The bus grinds to a halt near the cafe, and I'm still not sure which course to pursue. Rhea's sitting at the table near the back, a spot-on replica of her LinkedIn profile, tight curls and all. She might even be wearing the same blouse. I mumble some possible opening salvos to myself. She's eating a huge handmade marshmallow alongside her artisanal mocha. She's tearing off goopy bits and licking the excess from her sticky fingers. I slide into the chair across from her. She looks up and fidgets with her glasses, a trail of marshmallow residue clinging to the frames. "You must be the artist," she says with a smile. "Yes," I lie, glad that a third option has insisted upon itself. "Would you like anything?" Rhea asks. "On me, of course." "No, thanks," I say. "I love the work samples you sent," she says before gulping from her huge mocha mug. "Thanks, I love your collections. The museum is so—" I'm not sure what to say about the museum. I realize I've rarely appreciated it from an artistic perspective before. I'm more interested in the subject matter than the craft. "Visceral," Rhea offers. "Yes, visceral. It's raw, unfiltered," I say. And Ray smiles. "It's like the best kombucha, totally unfiltered," I add. And I regret this comparison. Her smile droops. She takes another gulp. "Did you bring any new work?" she asks. "Yes," I say, and I reach into my pocket to see what's available. I give her a crumpled receipt. She takes it gently between us. "Fascinating," she says, leaning in for a better look. "But whose mistake is it?" "Devon Shaw," I say. "Ah, yes, her museum is due for a change soon. Will she know what it means? I can't really read the receipt. Is it a reproduction of, or is it found art of a real receipt?" "She'll know." "And what's the mistake?" "Food poisoning," I say. The curator leans back and looks displeased. "Or medical mistake?" I add. "So the food poisoning's so bad it puts her in the hospital?" Yes, I say, glad she's making it easy for me to fib on the spot. How much? She asks. I didn't expect the curator to be so blunt and capitalistic. I'm not sure what kind of number to ask for. Too high and she'll sour on me. Too low and she'll think I'm an amateur and she'll never give me the information I need. I go all in. All I want is a name. What do you mean? Ray asks. The anonymous artist who created the statue, Devon. It's currently on display in. Yes, I'm familiar with the piece, she says. So, who made it? I ask. Why? I admire the work, I say, and it sounds convincing. I want to meet the artist. As a fellow artist, excuse me, a light voice chirps from behind me. Rhea Sizlek? Yes, Rhea says. Am I interrupting? I thought we had a 3 o'clock meeting. The man wears a deeply stained smock and carries several tubes of rolled up parchment. I know I'm sunk, so I switch to a desperate version of option one. Just tell me, please. Devon is my girlfriend. I need to know. The curator slouches. She flicks the balled up receipt onto the floor. You're not the first to try, she says. Even if you were an artist, I couldn't give you the name. Anonymous means anonymous. It'd be unethical. Ray doesn't get angry with me, and I'm glad. I hope my membership won't be revoked when Devon and I finally break up. I want to know about my future mistakes. I really do. I love the museum. I try to tell Ray how much I love the museum and how much the membership means to me. I love, Ray interrupts. I love you too, she says. Rhea touches my hand with her sticky fingers. We all do. That's why you have an exhibit. I turn and look at the artist who is nodding in agreement. It's true. I love you too, he says. We can't do it without our patrons, Rhea adds. You're so important to us. She is more understanding than the security guard. In this moment, I forget that I didn't get an answer. I'm still hopeless and lost, even as I smile and place my hand atop Rhea's. She rises from her chair, and so do I. Rhea hums as she walks me to the cafe door. She hands me a business card, and I'm on the next bus headed home. On the back of Rhea's business card, there's a note. I didn't see her write it. It's like she already had this handwritten reminder prepared. It reiterates what she already told me. Remember, when you make mistakes, you are still loved. I reread the card several times when I get back home. It feels like a promise that my colossal mistake will be okay. The problem is, I'm not sure if I believe it. Do you love me? I ask Devon, pocketing the business card. She doesn't look up from her book. What kind of stupid question is that? We say it all the time. I know, but do you mean it? What? It's just, I consider how to explain it. When you asked about lunch, how did you know I would be near your work today? I just assumed, she said. She dog ears a page and puts the book on the nightstand. I hate it when she dog ears books. It ruins the pages. Is that why we break up? Does she destroy all my books? I peer at what she's reading, and it looks like a library copy of some new sci-fi epic. Does the library ban her for dog earing? And she goes nuts and takes all that bookless frustration out on me? I take a breath and refocus on the conversation at hand. Why did you assume? I ask. You're always at the museum on Mondays. You go there all the time. Exactly, I say. You know me. Yeah, that's a good thing. But is that love? Or does that only mean you're comfortable? Are you happy or complacent? What are you getting at? Are you unhappy? No, I shout. I take another breath. I think about last weekend. Karaoke with friends, smiles and laughter, good sex when we got home, brunch the next day with my parents, work on Sunday at a good job, the kind that didn't hesitate to let me telecommute during the pandemic. My life is good. I feel happy. I am happy. I'm not sure what I'm asking. Just ignore me. You were acting weird at lunch too. What's up? Devin asks. She leans forward and touches my back. Her fingers curl around my ribs and pull me in for a hug. You think I'm acting weird? I ask. And I know it's true, but the words sting. And I wonder if I've set something catastrophic in motion. I need a Xanax. I squirm beneath Devin's touch. I slide out and go to the bathroom to look for some pills. Devin stands in the doorway and asks again, "What's up?" "The museum," I say, popping a sleeping pill because I can't find anything else. "It had a statue of you." "Okay, so? Don't you get it? We're doomed. You're a mistake. I need to dump you," I say. And hearing the words aloud gives them new weight. I start to sweat. "Do you want to dump me?" Devin asks. "No," I say. "And I don't want to dump you, so who cares about the statue?" "The museum is never wrong," I remind her. "Remember that one time we thought it was wrong and we went on that road trip to Bryce Canyon and your car's engine basically blew up?" "You're being dramatic. It was just the radiator," Devin says. Still, it ended badly. "It was fine. I had a good time," she says. "Besides, I've had a statue of you this whole time." "What?" "Before we even met. It was like a warning. I was trying to figure it out for weeks. Then I met you at that cheese party thingy, and I recognized you right away. I knew we wouldn't last." "Holy shit, you've had a statue of me?" "Have. I still have it. It hasn't rotated out of my exhibit yet. It probably won't until we break up," she says. "I honestly thought you knew. When you visit the museum, do you ever go into my alcove? It's like 2 or 3 galleries away from yours." I rarely look at the other art. I make a beeline for my area. I want to see my mistakes, but I don't care about the mistakes of others. When Devin visits the museum with me, she spends hours in the other showcases. She goes to the gift shop and picks out keychains and magnets featuring the mistakes of her friends, her brothers, her exes, her hairdresser, anyone and everyone. I usually get impatient and read a book in the museum lobby. Why have I never bothered to look at her exhibit? Perhaps my narcissism is what ends our relationship. Maybe this is the moment that she understands what a self-involved person I am. Devin pulls out her phone and finds a picture. "See, here it is," she says. It's clearly from the same anonymous artist. The style is Grecian. Rather than looking skyward, my statue is in repose, a toga draped over the waist, oversized biceps contorted awkwardly around my face. It's beautiful, and it perfectly complements the Devon statue. Like there's a different museum awaiting our joint exhibit. The museum of past mistakes must exist somewhere. Devon scrolls through photos of other prior exhibits from before we met. There are artworks dedicated to other failed lovers, a gaudy lower back tattoo, a job offer for a shitty company. They're all so intriguing. Color blocked modern art, vibrant primary colors, a suggestion of something rough and textural rippling beneath the paint. I can't wait to see her exhibit after I'm gone. Thanks.
I really enjoyed that, James. Thank you so much. Um, it is our practice here at Story Hour um, to just pause between authors, take a breath, take a beat, let the work that we just heard resonate, and then sort of cleanse our mental and emotional palates to get ready for the next work. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take a breath. Y'all can do whatever you like for the next 15 seconds, but I'm just going to sit here and chill for a moment. James R. Gapinski, folks. Thanks again, James. Our next author is Jenna Hanchey. Jenna is a BSFA Award shortlisted writer, as well as a poet, collage artist, a narrator, and podcast co-host. Her research looks at how speculative fiction can imagine decolonization and bring it into being, while her fiction aims to support this project of creating better futures for us all. Jenna's work can be found in Nature, the Sunday Morning Transport, and World of Possibilities, among other venues. You can follow Jenna's adventures at www.jennahanchey.com. Jenna, welcome back. The floor is yours.
Hello. This actually, I think, is going to dovetail really nicely with James's story. So I hope y'all enjoy. It's online on the Sunday Morning Transport if you're interested in reading along. It's called And You and I. It all began with our daughter. I didn't recognize her at first. Just another little girl playing in one of those in-ground fountains, where children wound themselves in giggling spirals around the fluid pillars arising from the hot pavement, made bearable only by the water's ephemeral presence. In the vision, as in the potential reality it heralded, the pillars of water sometimes stopped all of a sudden, pulled back into holes in the ground, like a tsunami tugging the ocean. The children knew what this meant, and most ran screaming in anticipation to the middle of the giant concrete circle. Suddenly, the superpowered jets dotting a circumference erupted. Having collected the retreating water, they now sent it back in majestic arcs that met each other and the dancing children at the circle's center. But our daughter didn't run toward the delightful downpour. Instead, she ran to me. I still didn't recognize her. Not yet. I accepted a hug around my knees, like I would for any child, gently smoothing her hair. I asked her about the fountain and whether she was having fun. Yes, she responded, with a goofy smile so like yours that I should have seen it then. But it's so cold, she continued, shivering. I wrapped her in a towel and started to tell her about the fountain in my hometown. Like this one, I said, but far to the north, where it's so much colder than here. When my nephew walked by, patting me on the shoulder as he passed. Our eyes met, and a shockwave spiraled down my spine. He was years older than the time my mind had believed to be the present, but so clearly recognizable. Slowly, the realization dawned on me. This was the fountain in my home to the north. That small, chilly city on the coast of Lake Michigan, where my parents and siblings still lived. I looked at the girl in front of me, wrapped in a towel printed like the night sky, where I could just make out the rabbit in the moon draped across one shoulder. That silly grin, her dusky brown skin, poofy pigtails, and her eyes that were my eyes, brilliant blue, brimming with feeling. One thing that was mine in a sea of us. That was when it began, the possibility of you and me. I had no reason to expect it. I'd never had such a personal vision before. Not that I had many to begin with. After working with time so long in the university lab, I'd come to intimately understand just how few wrinkles in the cosmic fabric there really were. For the most part, the universe was simply unfolding in the only way it could, with every actor making the only decisions they could make as the being they were at the time, in the relations they were in as they were in them. It gave me great comfort, honestly, to skim along the surface of the vast ocean of time, once my colleagues and I figured out how, getting glimpses into the way the infinite relations could coalesce into something so beautiful as they spun out from one another, especially when respect and reciprocity were shown. The inability to actually control or change anything we saw, or even to place it in time or context, often meant we soon lost the big government funds. And the discovery of the Mbele uncertainty principle sealed our safety from militarized misuses. Were we ever to be able to actually act on the glimpses of past or future we saw, the possibility of seeing them all went to zero. Seeing them at all went to zero. But there were enough rich white mystics out there in Sedona and Marfa and the like who were willing to fund a fascinating yet useless pursuit that we got by. The visions didn't start until years later. After I'd gotten so used to surfing the ocean of time that sometimes when I sat down alone at the large mahogany table for dinner, or laid my head back onto my little dog perched behind me on the couch, I still felt like I was being rocked by its waves. And I was, because those waves could move me ever so slightly into a different reality, or move a reality I had glimpsed until it was no longer visible on the horizon. They were small things usually, and often stemmed back to the choices made by the land, wind, and sky, rather than humans. How much snow had fallen, whether or not it rained that day. Sometimes I would glimpse a future instant, and it would sooner or later come to pass. But sometimes I would see something that the universe instead chose against. And as that moment wound back toward our time, to the instant of its unhappening, pressure would build and build and build until I was rocked by a giant wave. And I would know. The ocean of time had moved me into a different world than the one I'd glimpsed. When I first saw our daughter, there was no way of knowing which type this vision would be. I'd last seen you a few weeks before I jumped in time to meet her. No smile caressed your face then. We escaped the Temporal Dynamics Conference, fleeing the too chilled halls and too heated egos to have ice cream down by the sea. You insisted on paying. Money isn't real, you said. And it all comes back around in the end, I added, tipping our cones together into a melty cheers. Mine stuck to yours, briefly, as we pulled them apart. We sat on either end of a wooden bench, looking at the water instead of each other, as tears flowed from both of our eyes in shallow imitation of the mighty waves before us. We were both so lonely. I hadn't realized you were divorced until the night before, when everyone else at the bar was dancing, and you just sat slumped in your chair. Either drunk or distracted, you almost left your card at the bar, but I noticed and brought it back to you. The ice cream was reciprocity, you said. You talked about how your ex had thought you were too much, too emotional, too excessive. I, split from mine for a year and a half, was still learning how not to dim my light for other people, how to just live as brightly as I desired. You talked about how hard it was to parent after the split, how much you loved your son. We both broke down describing how hard it was to find community, how hard it was to find your people. Don't worry, you said, enveloping me in a hug. We're each other's people. Months later, we found ourselves invited to the same lecture series on time and the other. I didn't know how much of you I would actually get to see. You're often busy. I am as well, but more of my own making than the crowds your generosity draws. But then, at the last minute, your lodging fell through, and you needed a place to stay, and somehow you ended up staying at the rental with me. It was a musician's house, and we'd been given a log for the wood-burning fireplace and permission to play the instruments. The first night, we stayed up talking until 2 a.m. Not touching, just talking. But there's no need to touch when static electricity has the capacity to arc between bodies, bridging any gaps. The only things that touched were our eyes, and they never broke contact until we finally gave in and shut them to close the day. The next night, you went out with friends while I returned to the house alone, where I danced in time with the rocking of the ocean. I was going to go to sleep before you returned, but you asked me to wait for you. I'd settled into the couch by the time you got in, reading and listening to the album that always recenters me in the spirals of time, the one that my dad used to put on every night to relax, lilting in the background as a younger version of me drifted off to sleep. You came in as my favorite song started, and I pulled you close to the speaker. "Listen," I said, "isn't it gorgeous?" We held our breaths as Steve Howe delicately plucked harmonics on his 12-string guitar before allowing the melody to emerge. I didn't tell you it was my favorite, but I noticed how attentively you listened. This time, the energy settled to a smolder as you held my hand. Our last night, we made music together, you on the guitar, me singing along. Here and there, I could plunk out a melody on the piano. When you put aside the guitar, you held me instead. I laid my head against your chest and stroked your neck. "I can feel your brain waves," you told me. You'd had some mushrooms. I hadn't, but I could feel the waves too. We were both rocked by them, gently. "I want to kiss you," you said, "but I'm not ready." "I know," I replied. "And it's so complicated," you said, "by my son." "I know," I repeated. You held my shoulders and kissed me on the forehead instead when we parted. In the next vision, I was in my lab, surrounded by raucous graduate students. Class had just finished and we were sharing a meal together. I reminded them in between bites of sopapilla that you were coming to guest speak next week and they had better be on their best game. One student said, "Ooh, look, our prof's blushing." They exchanged knowing glances, laughing. "Worried what'll be said about you?" they joked. "Why would I?" I asked, tamping down the quite real embarrassment I felt that a crush had somehow been sussed out by my students. "Well, you are married to each other," they responded. "But that means they probably keep each other's secrets," another one said, playfully disappointed, as the room descended into titters about love. My eyes went wide, and then I was blushing. Like with the vision of our daughter, everyone else had known what reality we were in before I did. My stomach tightened as the future dropped closer. I might once have been excited by this vision, believed in its reality, but you'd called me the week before. We caught up at first, telling each other about the music we'd been playing, things we'd been thinking about, trips we'd been taking, feet placed in the ocean. Then you paused. "I decided to reconcile with my ex," you told me, "for my son's sake." My chest was like a clamp on my heart. "I admire you and respect your commitment to him," I said. "I understand," I said. I added, "I hope you find the love you deserve." I didn't cry. I did understand. I knew that the ocean of time, though impenetrable to us, holds only what it holds. You were making the only decision you could make as the being you were at the time, in the relations you were in when you were in them. That night, I saw our daughter's hand slipping into the sea until all I could glimpse was a fingernail. It wasn't a vision, though. This one was only a dream. When I saw you at the annual Mbele Awards ceremony, I was prepared to be friends. I scheduled coffee, kept it professional. "Are we okay?" I asked. "Of course," you responded, seemingly surprised to have been asked. We saw a lot of each other that weekend, mostly in the company of others. We talked, and we joked, and we laughed, and my heart expanded. Time may have its own plans, but it still knew, regardless of what form it took, we're each other's people. One night, we ran into each other alone at the rooftop pool, both wanting to swim in the company of the full moon. We stayed in until the water got so cold it made my teeth start to chatter, and yet the moon still hadn't risen far enough to be visible atop the skyline. I wrapped myself in a towel and stood on tiptoes on a patio chair. There, I said, I can see it now. You stayed on the ground, looking up at me, smiling a goofy grin. Send my greetings, you said, to the rabbit in the moon. You told me the story. Once the moon shone as bright as the sun, but it shone too brightly, so the gods threw the rabbit to darken its face. That's sad, I said. Everyone should shine as brightly as they can. You have our greetings, I shouted, brave rabbit, and our camaraderie, bright moon. This time, when leaving, I was the one who hugged you. I'm glad to see you smiling again, I said. It felt unfair to have the last vision, the one where you and I had sex. You on top of me in the bed, me astride your lap in the chair, you lifting me up against the wall. The next logical step backward in time, I suppose, as my whole torso now felt the pressure of the alternate future rapidly approaching, spinning back to the moment when it would finally come undone for good. I did cry when I came out of that vision. Hefty sobs that needed to be torn from the vice-like grip of my throat. The next time we saw each other, I knew that the moment had arrived. I could feel the pressure in every inch of my body, the weight of an alternate universe sitting on my shoulders. Earlier that morning was the only time I'd ever broken out of sync with the rhythm of time's rocking waves, like cold water crashing over my head instead of the usual sun-radiated warmth cradling my body. I shouted at the universe, at time, at nothing at all. Isn't there anything I can do? But as my mind spiraled through possibilities, I began to find the rhythm once more, pulled ever back by the ocean tide, until I found myself again enveloped in the deepest and darkest of arms. For each scenario I could come up with inevitably spiraled away from me. It was never only about what I did. I could only make choices for me. And I could only, like anyone else, make the one I could make as the being I was at the time, in the relations I was in when I made it. How the universe unfolded was due to the constant movement of everything together in relation, swirling and rocking to a song in which only the ocean of time itself knew all the parts. It was never and could never be up to me. How lucky I was, I thought, to be held in such arms. Arms that would let me, and everyone else, shine as brightly as they wanted, if we just decided to claim it. I picked you up from the airport and drove you to my house. You had come to guest lecture after all. As I should have known from all my sailing on the ocean of time, the important things never changed. I'm glad you're here, I said. Me too, you responded. That was when it ended, the possibility of you and me. When you smiled that goofy grin, my heart lifted and broke at the same time as we settled into reality instead. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Jenna. You were right, that your work and James's work really dovetailed wonderfully tonight. If anybody wonders, Laura and I do not organize these programs much. We certainly don't encourage our authors to speak with one another and pick stories to create a unified program, but it often happens anyway, serendipitously, all the time. It's
I
fucking
mean, we don't forbid them to
no, we don't
speak to
forbid
each
it,
other or
but it just
anything.
kind of happens, man. But tonight it was uncanny. It was just the stories just sort of like complemented each other perfectly.
It's
So
like they're from the same book and it just fell open.
yeah, right.
Like,
Yes.
right? Like there's just one story on each of the open pages.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
Spooky.
so Jenna Hanchey, James R. Gapinski, thank you both so much for joining us tonight at Story Hour. And thank you, my friend and co-host, Laura Blackwell, without whom I really wouldn't want to do this as much. Um, and thank you all for coming back every week. And speaking of which, please come back next week when we're going to have Dee Holloway and Ash Huang. So until then, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see you real soon. Good night, everybody.